Welcome to the swamps, the friendliest zone so far, where every native just can't wait to give you a warm and welcoming hug. Sit back and relax and allow me to get you properly suited and booted to meet your friendly neighbours. Let's get going, and the first thing you want to do is chuck down a fermenter. This is for crafting your poison resistance potions. This is a must-have precaution for the swamps, especially if it's your first time there. This is the most time-consuming item to craft, that's why I suggest you do it first. It will take a full 2 days to ferment 6 of the poison pots for you. You load up your fermenter with a mead base potion that you craft at your cauldron. You need 10 honey, 5 thistle, 1 nectar and 10 coal. You just need to craft the one, as you can only ferment 1 type of potion at a time. Whilst you wait for your potions, let's talk weaponry. I shall explain the choices that I'm suggesting to you later on while fighting the different enemy types in the swamps. Bronze-wise, I recommend the one-handed mace, and also the bronze buckler. I still recommend using troll armor instead of bronze. You really don't want any movement penalty while you're running around in the swamps. Try and upgrade your weapons as much as you can. Every little bit of extra damage you can do will help. Take along a fine wood bow, some fire arrows and normal arrows, your poison potion after it's fermented, mace, buckler, definitely a stag breaker, and more importantly than any other item, please bring your hoe. Food wise, nothing fancy. Honey, cooked boar and cooked deer meat should do you. What I like to do is set up a portal in my base called swamps and take materials with me to create a portal the other end. On your map, the dark brown areas indicate where the swamps are. Before you set sail like an old salty, check that your ship is seaworthy before you set off. Grab yourself a sleep so you don't end up sailing at night, because at night there's more chance of you being attacked by a sea serpent. They can spawn in the daytime, but there's a much smaller chance of this happening. There is also more chance of them spawning in stormy and foggy weather, so always try to set off on calm waters. As you're approaching the swamps, you can spot that it is one from quite far out because of the tall spindly trees, blocking your ship anywhere in or close to the swamps. If you do this, you will be risking losing your ship. The waters are infested by giant leeches that will just come along, damage and destroy it. And at night time along the swamps, things get even better, because then the nasty wraiths decide to come out to play. If they spot you while you're sailing along the coastline, they can travel across the open waters to come and attack you. They will continue to give chase unless you can outrun them and there's enough wind. And if the guards aren't with you and the wind drops completely, it's pretty much fight or flight time. And this is one of the reasons why I suggested bringing fire arrows. They are weak to fire, and if they're distracted just by hitting your boat, a few good shots and you can get rid of the pesky things. Dock your ship in the meadows area, if not the Black Forest. If you can't find either, it may be better for you to scout and find another swamp. These small burial chambers can come in handy in the Black Forest as a nice outpost base before venturing into the swamp, because you can slap down a workbench and then there's just enough room inside to be able to place a portal, and then just lob a door at the front and you're done. You can expand on your base later on, but you just want the bare minimum of a portal to get back to your main base, and then you're set up to come back to the swamps whenever you want to. After you're all set up with your portals, it's time to start exploring the swamps. I suggest taking it nice and steady at the start and just scouting out the edges. I could take the time to find monsters one-on-one. To be honest though, I don't think that would be a true representation of the swamps. In this place, shit happens, and more often than not, you will get jumped on by multiple mobs. My first choice weapon that I suggest to you is always try and kill them by range. Fighting at range will give you the best opportunity to see what else is about. As you can see, there was more than one skeleton lurking behind those trees, and another Draugr has come to play as well. Now it's time to use the terrain and the trusty stag breaker. It truly is the Swiss Army knife of weapons and gets you out of many situations. A Draugr archer turned up, so I decided to leg it, and as I promised earlier, this is just the first example of the amount of damage that it can produce. You can hide behind the trees and try and use the area of effect. Unfortunately though, the stag breaker is nowhere near as good with these as it is with a skeleton, so I switched to the one-hander and finished it before it could finish me. The first use of the hoe is to deal with these leeches. Terraforming the ground will reduce the amount of water you have to traverse around. Running away through the waters will not help you if you get poisoned by one of these. Be warned that any noise you do make in combat will attract more monsters to your area. The leeches and the blobs, you can get up to a 2-star level, and the more stars, the more damage they can do through their poison. And this is why it's vitally important to keep your poison resistance potion up if you see any, as there's no point in drinking them after you get poisoned, as it will have no effect on reducing the amount of damage that you will take. When you find yourself a crypt, start making a path right up the middle with a nice swabooey. It will make going and coming back from the crypt a lot easier, and a real nice bonus tip later on in the video that I'll show you when it comes to transporting ore. And no, it doesn't involve logging out. If you make a path to the crypt, it will help you out when you need to retreat. Draugrs are one of the most deadly things in the swamp, especially the ones that are starred. The increased damage they do and the increased speed at which they move. Using your shield to block their attacks will stun them. However, if you mistime the block, they will carve you a new one. I'm back, and Mr. Draugr will not stop me making this tutorial for you. It's just swung its last axe. Now the Draugr's out of the way, let me show you the crypt. Marvellous, an abomination right outside. Before you think I've placed it there, I'm not that good a script writer. Later on I'm going to share with you 3 different ways you can deal with these. The crypts make great safe havens, inside and on top. Up here is a nice way to get away from the tree walkers. These things are weak to fire and slashing damage. Blunt weapons will do a lot less damage to it, so this kind of rules out the one-hand macing your Stagbreaker. The first way you can kill them is by using fire arrows. Using this method, it does seem to have some very funky pathing issues. If it can't reach you or get in melee range, it keeps wandering off. Don't go chasing it all around the swamps, or you will just end up with other things chasing you whilst you're trying to fight it. If you have enough patience, eventually you can take them down in this way. I have 2 other faster ways that I will show you later on. I definitely think it's worth you investing your time in killing at least 2 of these abominations. Killing 2 of them, you will have enough roots to be able to craft the helmet, and having this item will save you on poison pots. The bronze shield really comes into its own in several situations. Even the skeleton archers can end up coming at you in packs. You can just hold up the shield and let them spam arrows and it will negate almost all of the damage. You can then just wait for them to come to you and take them out with a few swings of your mace. Just 1 skeleton archer on their own is not much of a threat. So now that the pack's split up, I'll just finish off the last one. Timing your blocks properly with the Draugrs is a highly effective strategy. It does take a bit of practice, but when you hear the nice sound of the metal clang, this will give you a second or 2 to go in and finish them off, which you can do nice and easy after a successful parry. There is another weapon top I haven't mentioned yet. I will give a good demonstration of it later on in the video. On top of the crypts is certainly safer than being on the floor. Please don't grab yourself a coffee break though, thinking that nothing can get you. The jellies can jump up, archers can hit you, and at night when the wraiths come out to play, they can also fly to you. At some point you're going to be wanting to kill some of the leeches for one very important resource. You can shoot them with a bow, but then they just tend to swim off. Highly effective is the Stagbreaker, even if there's several of them. And the item you're going to be wanting is the blood bags. These you can use to either cook black pudding or black soup, but the much more useful item you can craft are the medium health potions. You'll want to craft yourself a couple of these as they're super useful for the bowmass fight. There are 2 types of spawners you're going to come across in the swamps. Purple ones that spawn the skeletons, and the green ones that will spawn draugrs. Taking these out from range is definitely your best option, as hitting any of the spawners will lure out any of the monsters that are around it. And I've lured a 2-star Draugr. I've got a bad feeling about this. The damage these things do is pretty insane. They've also got a ton more health than the normal Draugrs. Going in and swinging wildly is not the best option. I will show you how to die badly so you don't have to. You can try using the same trick I showed you earlier with the skeleton archers. Unfortunately though, if you just hold it with shield, almost all of the damage will go straight through, unless you're really good at blocking just as the arrow's about to hit you. I find this to be very risky and it doesn't work for me, so what I like to do is fight fire with fire. Grab out your bow with some fire arrows, it's time for a bit of hit and run. Let the fire do the work, just hit it and then move out the way. And as it's about to aim and shoot at you, get ready to move, then a quick aim and shoot again. Rinse and repeat until your Draugr is nice and crispy, like some good old southern fried chicken. The fire spitters stick out like a sore thumb, and around them there's generally about 3 or 4 of the Surtlings. To be honest, these are pretty weak and easy to kill. They will try and throw fireballs, but they're quite slow to do so. Just a 1 hit with your bow will clear them out. After you've got rid of them, grab out your pickaxe and wind around the edges of the fire spitter. Surtlings can't swim, so as soon as any more spawn they just instantly die. Just mark this area on your map. Then anytime you want more Surtling cores and coal, you can come back to the area, hang around for a bit and then pick some up. Nice easy time saver, as you can do this to every fire spitter you come across. When it comes to you dealing with the blobs, the best way not to actually get poisoned is to keep an eye on them when they jump up to watch where they're going to actually land. If you time it right and hit them when they land, it will not give them time to spray out the poison cloud. Doing it this way may help you out if you've run out of poison pots. Now it's time to share with you how I do the crypts. After all, the main thing you want from the swaps is the iron, so that you can get everything upgraded and make things just that tad bit easier. Bring along a bronze pickaxe. The durability on the antler pickaxe is just too low, and you'll spend too much time having to leave the crypt to repair all the time. When mining the muddy scrap piles, just make sure you go down just the one edge, leaving a little gap so that you can peer through. Doing this, you can see the monsters before they can actually get to you. Then you have a couple of options. You can either use your bow and arrow or your Stagbreaker. The Stagbreaker is normally the better option. However, sometimes if there's archers or a spawner right at the back that you can't reach with the Stagbreaker, then it will be time to use your bow and arrow instead. When navigating in the mine so you don't get lost, just take one direction at a time. Either turn left all the time or right all the time. Either way will lead you back to the entrance. The chests that you come across are a nice bonus. as in them you can get chains, ancient bark, jewels. In some of them you can get some extra iron as well. Because you come overloaded quite quickly with all the iron you'll be mining, they're also very handy as a temporary storage area. Then your items will be ready and waiting for when you want to collect them and take them back to base. The withered bone you see here, you're going to need 10 of these to summon bone mass. You can find them lying around in muddy scrap piles and also in the chests. To find the location of bone mass on your map, you're looking for one of these red tablets. You can find them either in the crypts or in some of the stone structures up above. Now for getting your loot back to base, here's a neat little tip. Set up 2 portals between your temporary base and on top of the crypt that you're mining. Then you can teleport to your crypt, run in, grab all your stuff. If you want to be even more efficient, just grab your iron, because that's the only thing you can't take through the teleporter. Then you only have to run one way with as much iron as you can carry. Offload it at your temporary base, teleport back, rinse and repeat until the crypt is completely empty. This should save you a fair bit of time. You never know, they might patch the exploit of logging in and out to different seas to transport all your metal. Here is the second of 3 ways you can deal with the abominations. If you've got a keen eye and know what to look for, you can surprise them by getting in the first hit. The tree stump will definitely look different to the other ones you've come across. They also have like a bit of a gunky haze, similar to the spawners, but it's dark and murky. You will have to have the materials on you ready for this one. Some Surtling cores, ancient wood, core wood and fine wood. All this is going to be needed to lob down a bonfire and load it up with a bit of normal wood. The burn damage from this is way stronger than your fire arrows. What I do is hit it with the fire arrows as well, just in case it wanders off, to keep the burn tick on it. Its range swipe attack a couple of times can actually destroy the bonfire. Not to worry though, as soon as it wanders off, or you can just run around a bit and then go back, pick up the items and replace your bonfire. Repeat as necessary, and before too long you should be able to just finish the thing off. I almost forgot this tip, as it gets overlooked quite often. For crafting this awesome looking Draugr bow, one of the components you need is Guck from the swamps. You can get this stuff from the abominations I showed you how to kill, but the much easier and faster way, you can actually harvest it directly from the trees. You can't damage the trees themselves, so bung down a workbench and then pop up some platforms. Then each sack you demolish you get 5 Guck from. The sacks can be quite high up on the tree, please be careful not to fall off. Now it's time to demonstrate a gem of a weapon that may suit your playstyle, and it's called the bronze Atgeir. It's the first pole that you can craft once hitting the bronze age. If you hold down the middle mouse button, it spins an AoE attack around yourself, stunning enemies that you hit, in the same way as blocking one of their attacks with a shield. However, with this weapon you can stun multiple enemies at once, and the normal attack is a 3-weapon combo, and on the 3rd attack it does double damage. Combining this with a spin stun attack makes it a very deadly weapon. The one drawback though, you can't totally spin to win, as using this special attack does drain your stamina quite quickly. Then you got to move away and then go back in again. To be honest though, I do find this weapon a lot more fun than trying to time blocking with a shield. Craft yourself one and give it a whirl. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with me on this weapon. The easiest and fastest way for you to kill an abomination is to lure it over one of the fire spitters. The other 2 ways I showed you earlier on is before you found one of these, or if it's too far away, to lure it to one. Use yourself as bait, luring it over the fire about 3 times, coupled with a few arrows, and it will go down in no time at all. The only thing left is bone mass. Check out this video next and you'll be all set. Please tap the like button if you've enjoyed the video. I really would appreciate it, thank you. See you soon and take it easy.